Jagadish, thank you for joining us today. So, how can art of living breathing techniques help solve global stress and depression? Jagadish, thank you for joining us today. So, modern life's greatest epidemic is not disease but disconnection from self, others, and nature. Through Sudarshan Kriya, Project World brings the power of breath to heal minds globally. Scientific studies already show Sky's ability to reduce cortisol, anxiety, and PTSD symptoms. Under Project World, this technique will be taught in community centers, refugee camps, schools, prisons, and hospitals, translated into over 50 languages. People suffering from trauma in war zones, job loss, or isolation will learn that peace is an inner skill, not an external gift. Vedic Dham Sansthan will complement this with the healing homas like Dhanvantri and Rudrabhishekams, powerful rituals for mental purification and energy cleansing. As the breath becomes synchronized across nations, collective consciousness begins to shift. The world, once fragmented by stress, rediscovers the rhythm of oneness through the universal breath. Now, how will the Project World address climate change and environmental imbalance? Project World sees ecology and spirituality as one continuum, both born from the Sanskrit word prakriti or nature. The solution is inner and outer harmony. Every global Seva Yodhya team will conduct yagyas and homas dedicated to the five elements: earth, water, fire, air, and space across forests, coasts, and mountains. In parallel, tree meditation drives will plant 500 million trees worldwide under the Breath for Earth initiative. Each planting will begin with Gayatri Japa and Agni Karyam, symbolizing gratitude to nature. Art of Living's zero budget farming methods will be taught to farmers, while eco education programs will train youth in sustainable habits. Coastal nations will hold Varuna pujas or water harmony rituals to honor oceans. By merging environmental science with sacred practice, Project World transforms climate anxiety into collective responsibility, proving that ecological healing begins with a spiritual awakening. Now, how will the Project World promote gender equality and women's leadership? Project World, women are not beneficiaries, they are leaders of transformation. Every continent will have global Shakti circles guided by women pratinidhis trained in leadership, financial literacy, and art of living practices. These circles will blend satsang and skill, combining meditation with a practical training, sustainable business, digital literacy, and education for girls. Each circle begins with a Devi Homa to invoke the divine feminine energy, nurturing balance and confidence. Vedic Dharma Sansthan will revive ancient rituals like Kumari Puja and Annapurna Parayana, symbolizing respect for womanhood. Women across Africa, Latin America, and Asia will learn how to harmonize spiritual strength with social action. Project World envisions women as spiritual entrepreneurs, building communities with compassion, strength, and wisdom, reclaiming their role as the heart of humanity. Now, how will the Project World handle interfaith harmony and global peace building? Yeah, the project world is not about religious conversion but spiritual convergence. Every culture holds sacred rituals like fire, water, prayer, silence that connects humans to divinity. Art of Living and Vedic Sansthan will collaborate with churches, mosques, synagogues, temples, and indigenous shrines, co-hosting interfaith meditations and peace yagyas. A special initiative of Global Trikal Sandhya will synchronize prayers at sunrise, noon, and sunset across time zones. From monks in Thailand to imams in Morocco to rabbis in Jerusalem to nuns in Peru, all will unite in one moment of collective silence. Peace education programs in conflict zones will integrate Sudarshan Kriya and forgiveness meditations, healing trauma through breath and compassion. Project World thus becomes a living embodiment of a Sudaiva Kutumbakam, the ancient declaration that the world is one family under one divine sky. Now, how does the Project World envision transforming global healthcare through spirituality and science? Project World's healthcare model begins with the premise that true healing happens when breath, body, and mind align. The initiative proposes a global wellness hubs across rural and urban regions, integrating modern medicine with art of living breathing techniques, yoga, Ayurveda, and meditation. Each center will teach Sudarshan Kriya for emotional resilience, Padma Sadhana for vitality, and Sahat Samadhi meditation for mental clarity. These techniques will be supported by Ayurvedic diagnostics and lifestyle guidance. Local doctors and healers will collaborate with art of living trained wellness teachers to provide holistic care. Vedic Dhamma Sansthan will conduct Dhanvantari Homas for healing vibrations, Gayatri Japa for mental harmony, and Agni Karyam to purify the environment around hospitals and clinics. In post conflict and refugee zones, Project World will organize trauma relieving and trauma healing camps, combining meditation with counseling. This integrated model aims to reduce medication dependency, promote prevention, and foster the understanding that health is not just curing disease but maintaining inner peace. By 2045, Project World hopes to inspire a global health charter, recognizing consciousness as a dimension of medicine, uniting science and spirituality for collective wellness. Now, how will the Project World revolutionize agriculture and food security? Agriculture is not just an economic activity, it is a sacred relationship with nature. Project World introduces spiritual agriculture rooted in the Vedic concept of Bhumi Devi or Mother Earth as living consciousness. Seva Yodhya's will train farmers globally in natural farming, biofertilizers, and organic water conservation techniques. Inspired by Art of Living's success in India, each agricultural season will begin with Bhumi Puja and Agni Karam, invoking fertility and gratitude. In drought prone African and Asian regions, rain harmony homas, Varuna Yagya will be performed while community meditation circles will build collective intent for abundance. Women farmers will form a global Annapurna circles, sharing sustainable food practices and exchanging seeds across continents. Project World's Faith Farm to Faith initiative will promote ethical food chains, ensuring that every meal served globally carries prayer, purity, and compassion. Agriculture becomes not just sustenance but sadhana, a sacred offering of cooperation between humans and the planet. Now, how does the Project World tackle the global water crisis? Water is sacred in every culture, called Apaha in Sanskrit, Aqua in Latin, and Maji in Swahili. Project World's Water is Worship campaign seeks to restore the spiritual and ecological values of water through Varuna pujas and ritual river cleanups. Communities will reconnect emotionally with their rivers and lakes. Art of Living's river rejuvenation model, which revived over 80 rivers in India, will now expand globally. Engineers, hydrologists, and pratinidhis will collaborate to design rainwater harvesting, watershed management, and groundwater recharge projects. Alongside science, collective meditations by river banks will bring awareness and gratitude for water's role in sustaining life. Vedic Sansan will perform Jalabhishekam rituals on global rivers like Amazon, Nile, Danube, and Mekong as symbols of planetary healing. The mission is not just conservation but reverence. When humanity relearns to see every drop as divine, water will never again be wasted. Now, how will the Project World engage refugees and displaced communities? In a world facing mass migration, Project World extends its compassion to the displaced. Its global healing camps will reach refugee settlements in the Middle East, Africa, and Eastern Europe. Here, trained Seva Yodhas will teach Sudarshan Kriya and train trauma-release meditations to restore emotional stability. Art of Living has already conducted such programs for refugees in Jordan, Iraq, and Colombia, demonstrating measurable movements in, and improvements in hope and sleep quality. Beyond mental healing, Project World will establish mobile education and skill centers offering language, crafts, and livelihood training. Vedic Sansthan will organize peace homas and samuhik satsangs open to all faiths, creating safe spiritual spaces where prayer transcends religion. The initiative's vision is to turn refugee camps into centers of revival, places where despair transforms into dignity and loss gives way to resilience through spiritual strength. Now, how will the Project World bridge science and spirituality? Jayurdev, Project World will launch the Institute for Global Consciousness Research, where neuroscientists, physicists, and spiritual masters study meditation's measurable impact. Art of Living's prior collaborations with Harvard, Stanford, and Ames prove that spirituality can be quantified through reduced cortisol, increased serotonin, and improved brain coherence. Under Project World, this data will guide policy, encouraging governments to adopt daily meditation sessions in schools, healthcare, and governance. Vedic and scholars will decode Vedic cosmology through modern astrophysics, emerging quantum theory, and consciousness studies. The Institute's goal is to make spirituality scientifically respected, not merely tolerated, proving that consciousness is the next frontier of global innovation. Now, how will the Project World handle digital addiction and AI related mental stress? Technology connects us virtually but isolates us emotionally. Project World introduces Digital Sanyam, a global movement teaching mindful technology used through meditation, breathing, and awareness. Schools and corporations will hold screen free satsangs, short breaks for silence and connection. Youth programs will train participants to balance productivity with peace using Sahat Samadhi meditation and breath awareness before digital sessions. Vedic Dhamma Sansthan promotes the Trikals and their habit, three intentional pauses each day for reflection regardless of digital engagement. The initiative also explores AI's potential in spreading spiritual wisdom responsibly, and AI for Ahimsa, a model that teaches empathy algorithms based on Gurudev's principles. Project World thus transforms technology from distraction into dharma and action using innovation to awaken consciousness, not consume it. Now, how will the project world work with indigenous cultures? Indigenous wisdom forms the Earth's spiritual backbone. Project World honors this by co creating programs, not imposing them, from the Navajo in North America to the Mapuche in Chile, from the Zulu in Africa to the Maori in New Zealand. Indigenous elders will co lead satsangs, homas, and red circles. Sanskrit chants and travel songs will blend a Vedic meeting in Aboriginal Diderigidu. Every ritual will begin with honoring local ancestors and land spirits. Through shared practices like fire, song, and silence, a global tribal network will emerge. Rooted in mutual respect, the Vatican Sun will archive these traditions digitally, preserving endangered chants and oral histories. Project World thus becomes a bridge between ancient tribes and modern minds, restoring indigenous voices as global teachers of harmony. Now, how does the Project World promote peace in conflict zones? Jagdeep, peace cannot be imposed, it must be inspired. Project World's Peace Corps, led by trained Seva Yodhas, will mediate through spiritual diplomacy. Breathwork, silence, and dialogue sessions will be introduced to leaders, soldiers, and civilians. In past Art of Living missions, Colombia's peace process and Iraq's trauma relief, such efforts will build bridges where politics fail. Vedic Sun will perform Rudrahomas for peace, while interfaith prayer gatherings will dissolve enmity through shared intention. The project is a sense before nations disarm weapons, individuals must disarm anger through peace begins within, and Project World teaches the art of peaceful power. Now, how will the Project World shape a new model of global economics? Project World proposes an economy of consciousness, a revolutionary model rooted in dharma rather than greed. The aim is to replace the GDP, the gross domestic product mindset, with GHP, the gross happiness and prosperity. Under this system, businesses integrate ethical practices, meditation breaks, and a compassion-driven leadership. A profit becomes a byproduct of purpose. Art of Living's corporate happiness programs, already adopted by Fortune 500 companies, serves as prototypes. Every enterprise under Project World commits to three vows: ahimsa in production, no harm to environment or life; seva in distribution, a percentage of profit dedicated to community upliftment; and santosha in operation, maintaining inner balance through meditation based leadership. Vedic Dhamma Sansthan will help design a dharmic economic framework inspired by Chanakya Niti and Arthashastra, aligning ancient wisdom with sustainable development goals. In this system, wealth flows where virtue grows. Economics returns to its spiritual root. Artha, a tool for dharma. Now, how does the project world redefine governance and leadership? Jagdev, yes, leadership, according to Gurudev, is not about control, but consciousness. Project World envisions sattvic governance, decision making guided by clarity, compassion, and inclusiveness. Governments will be trained in mindful governance retreats where leaders learn emotional regulation, deep listening, and strategic calm through meditation. The Art of Living's leadership through silence modules have already proven transformative for bureaucrats and ministers in India, Peru, and South America and South Africa. Vedic Sun will revive ancient models of governance such as Rajarishi tradition, where the ruler is a sage, a one who leads by wisdom, not fear. Policy making sessions will begin with short meditations to bring coherence among officials. Project World's long term dream: by 2050, at least 50 nations will have leaders trained in conscious governance, balancing material progress with moral and spiritual grounding. Now, how will the Project World empower women globally? Yeah, the women are the spiritual backbone of every civilization. Project World honors the feminine not as gender but as Shakti, the creative intelligence of the cosmos. Programs like Global Devi Circles will bring women from all backgrounds together to meditate, share skills, and lead social change projects. Rural women will be trained in micro entrepreneurship through Santoshi self reliance centers, combining skill development with a yogic discipline. The Vedic Dharma Sansthan will conduct a Devi Mahatmyam recitations and Annapurna Seva rituals, invoking the divine feminine in every community. Each center will have a Devi tree symbolizing nurturing, resilience, and rootedness. In Gurudev's word, when women lead with inner strength, compassion becomes policy. Project World envisions a future where every boardroom, classroom, and parliament vibrates with the strength of awakened Shakti. Now, how will the Project World support elderly citizens and intergenerational harmony? Modern society often sidelines its elders. Project World restores their role as spiritual mentors and repositories of wisdom. Each global ashram hub will have a Jesh Gurukul where retired professionals teach life skills, ethics, and meditation to youth. This exchange revives the ancient parampara, the living flow of knowledge from heart to heart. Elderly individuals will be encouraged to engage in voluntary seva, cultural storytelling, and ecological projects, ensuring they remain active and valued. Meditation and Ayurvedic care programs will be tailored to their physical and emotional needs. Vedic Sansan will organize Pitru Tarpana and ancestral gratitude festivals, reconnecting families with lineage and gratitude. The result society is rooted in reverence, where aging becomes celebration or decline. Now, how does the Project World integrate art, culture, and creativity? Art is the breath of the spirit. Project World's cultural mission is to make art a path of enlightenment. Global centers will host conscious art festivals, merging music, dance, theater, and spiritual discourse. Inspired by Gurudev's World Culture Festival, the project will celebrate diversity as divinity. Musicians from every continent will perform ragas and chants, blending ancient rhythms with the modern harmony. Vedic Sansthan will preserve endangered art forms through yagyas of sound and form, rituals where artists dedicate performances as offerings to the divine. Meditation before performance will awaken Nada Brahma, the realization that sound itself is sacred. When art becomes meditation and creativity becomes a devotion, humanity rediscovers joy beyond consumption, the joy of pure expression. Now, how will the project world address crime and prison rehabilitation? The goal is not punishment but transformation. Project World expands Art of Living's Prison Smart program, which has already helped over 8 lakh inmates worldwide by teaching prisoners breathing techniques, meditation, and emotional intelligence. The program reduces aggression and fosters self awareness. Inmates report newfound peace, forgiveness, and purpose. Under Project World, prisons will become centers of renewal with gardens, study halls, and silent arts. Vedic Sansan will conduct Rudra Homas and chanting circles inside prisons, cleansing the energetic field and creating vibrational healing. Released inmates will receive community support, job training, and mentorship, ensuring reintegration. Gurudev often says that there are no bad people, only people with bad understanding. Project World embodies the truth by turning punishment into purification. Now, how will the Project World protect biodiversity and wildlife? Every species carries a divine consciousness. Project Worlds is One Planet, One Pulse initiative, promotes coexistence through meditation driven conservation. Each global hub will adopt a natural reserve or endangered species. Silent forest meditations and tree planting yagyas will be regular practices. Farmers and tribal communities will be incentivized to protect biodiversity through eco seva programs. Vedic Sansthan will revive Vedic ecology hymns like Prithvi Sukta and Vanaspati Sukta, turning them into awareness campaigns. When humanity reconnects to the sacredness of nature, exploitation ceases naturally, for one cannot harm what one perceives as divine. How will the project world promote youth leadership? Youth are the architects of the coming age. Project World empowers them through Yuva Shakti programs, combining skill development and yoga and seva. Students will attend mindful leadership camps, learning to balance ambition with awareness. Digital platforms will connect young innovators with mentors from both Art of Living and Vedic Sansthan. Every young leader will be encouraged to adopt a village, school, or river, making spirituality actionable. The goal to create a generation of compassionate innovators who measure success not by wealth but by impact.